Good morning, bonjour, and welcome to Rideau Hall. Bienvenue à Rideau Hall. My name is Hadiza Ba, and I'm a senior guide here at Rideau Hall.
Je suis Amy Bouffard, guide ici à Rideau Hall, et nous serons vos maîtres de cérémonie ce matin.
You may now all sit down. Vous pouvez vous asseoir. So, as we are about to begin, our official photographer will be taking photos, which will be shared with your teachers in the coming days. Please refrain from taking photos and ensure that your cell phones are on silent mode.
Avant de débuter, j'aimerais vous informer que notre photographe officiel prendra des photos lors de l'événement. Celles-ci seront partagées avec vos enseignants dans les jours à venir. Je vous demanderai donc de ne pas prendre de photos et j'aimerais également vous rappeler de mettre vos téléphones sur silencieux.
It is our pleasure to welcome you here at Rideau Hall on this second National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Il nous fait plaisir de vous accueillir à Rideau Hall pour la deuxième journée nationale de la vérité et de la réconciliation.
We would now like to invite the Governor General to offer some opening remarks. Nous invitons maintenant la gouverneure générale à nous adresser la parole.
Good morning. And in my language, I would say ulakut, which means good morning, bonjour. How is everyone today? Did you all have to get up really early? Oh, maybe some of you. Welcome here to this beautiful place, the Rideau Hall. And are you ready to have some fun? Yeah. And also learn about different cultures like the Inuit culture, the Métis culture, and First Nations culture today because it's National Indigenous Day. So we're all going to be spending the day celebrating our renewed relationship between Indigenous peoples and Canadians, other Canadians. So we're all part of this, so I'm happy that you are able to be here. And I'd like to thank all those that have helped organize this event. I know it's been a challenging process to always get children together from different areas of Ottawa, but it worked out, and I'm really pleased that everyone is here. So first, I want to recognize the fact that we are on unceded territory because across the country, we recognize different areas related to Indigenous peoples. And here, it's the Algonquin Anishinaabe people that have been on this land for thousands of years. So we need to recognize that they are here with us and they are working hard to keep their culture and their language alive. So we always acknowledge the fact that we are gathered here on what we call unceded territory. And your teachers can probably talk to you more about what that means in class, because I think it's an important thing to learn about. So, as I said, today is a special day, and aujourd'hui est une journée spéciale. And it's also the second event related to the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. If you don't know what Truth and Reconciliation is about, Canada went through a process where they announced a commission or appointed 3 commissioners that would look into how Indigenous people evolved across the country and how residential schools affected Indigenous children. So that commission did its work, And one of the recommendations that came out of their work was to have a day in Canada that would recognize the place of Indigenous peoples and the history that most Canadians don't really know about is now being taught in schools and is now being talked about across the country, and we call it reconciliation. And that's one of the things that I work on as the Governor General for Canada. And it's also known as Orange Shirt Day. Everybody, I think, has a piece of orange on them. It doesn't have to be too obvious, but I think we all try to recognize that this is a special day called Orange Shirt Day as well. It's a way of recognizing that every child matters. It doesn't matter what culture or where you come from in Canada. It matters. Children matter to us. And every child matters. And I think because the residential school has been such a traumatic experience for Indigenous children, it's really important to say that every child matters in Canada. So you matter. You matter to all of us. So just a little bit more about why this day is important. Pourquoi cette journée est importante? So much more than my generation ever was, you at the young age that you are exposed much more to other cultures and languages and backgrounds. You are the most diverse generation and the most open. So it's really important for people like myself to be able to have these conversations with you. So as you grow up to be adults, you will have a better awareness of what Canada is all about and who Indigenous people are as the original people of this country. So it's really important to keep that conversation going, even amongst yourselves, learning about the country. And as you learn about the country, you will be learning about the diversity of the country, because Indigenous people are the original people of this country, but there's also a very large population of diversity in Canada. There's many, many cultures living in Canada, and it's good to learn about them. So one of the things that reconciliation is about, it's about healing the relationship with Indigenous peoples. And we start healing by learning about others, so we can understand each other better. And understanding each other better will allow us to be inclusive and to recognize and respect other cultures within our own communities, within our own schools, and everywhere we go. And you'll learn more about the unique cultures of Indigenous peoples a little bit later. We have people coming here that will illustrate to you what different cultures are in terms of the 3 Indigenous groups. But let me just talk about myself for a bit. I was born in a region called Nunavik, which is the very northern tip of Quebec. And I come from the people of the Inuit, or in singular, I am an Inuk. So there's a singular way of saying it and a plural way. So I am an Inuk, and the people that live in the Arctic are Inuit. And just like my culture, Inuit culture, I grew up hunting, fishing, and gathering food. I really love to pick blueberries. I've always loved to pick blueberries, and to this day, I still pick blueberries every summer or every fall. I also traveled by dog team, dog sled. That's the only mode of travel we had in the winter, was by dog sled. There was no machines, there were no cars in my community. So we always traveled by dog sled in the winter, and in the summer, we traveled by boat, because no roads go into the north, into the region I come from. There are no roads from southern Canada to that region where I live, even to this day. There are no roads. There are roads within our little communities, but not even communities along the coast are linked by roads. There are such things as roads up in the Arctic that link communities to community or from the north to the south. So we are, in many ways, quite isolated. So when I grew up, I only spoke Inuktitut, which is my language, which is the language of the Inuit. And even today, as I have grown up over the years and come to as becoming an elder, I still speak my language every day. And I make an effort to speak it every day. I call people up north just to speak to my family in Inuktitut, so that I don't forget my language. And it's so important. Like, I'm also learning to speak French. At my age, I am learning French. So anybody can learn a language if they really put their mind to it. So it would be really good if you could all learn an indigenous word every day. And I'm going to teach you one word in a few minutes. And I want to teach you a word that has great meaning to me and other Inuit. Je vous enseigner un mot important pour moi et pour les autres Inuits. Let me ask you a question, because this conversation of reconciliation is a hard conversation that we must all have. So who here has ever done something really hard? Most of you. That's amazing. I think it's really important to recognize that you are able to do things that are hard, because as you grow up, that's one of the things that you will be doing over and over again, is to have hard conversations with each other, with other people in Canada. You will be asked to do hard things in your lives, and being resilient and being able to get beyond that hard experience will make you a stronger person. So don't ever feel that something that you've done or something else has happened in your life that you're done. It's never done. You move on and you move forward and you learn from those experiences. And I can speak from experience myself, because I have done some difficult and hard things. I come from a very small village. When I was born, there was really like a community of 100 people. And when I grew up in a community of 600 people. So to be here at Rideau Hall, in my work, at the end of my own career, it means that I had to work hard to get here. It wasn't handed to me. So remember that all the hard work that you do will help shape you as an individual and will help shape your own career in life. And it doesn't matter what you do. Anything you do is okay. You don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be what people want you to be. You have to be happy with what you do. And it's important to contribute. Yes, it is very important to contribute to Canada, but at the same time, you as an individual have to be happy about what you do and how you live your life. So always remember that. So the word that I'm going to teach you is a word in Inuktitut, and it's one word that means never to give up. It's a promise to commit yourself to action, no matter how hard the task may be. And that word is ayuinata. And I want to help all of you say the word so you can take it with you when you leave. So I'll say it again, and I want you to repeat it after me. So it's ayuinata. Say it again. Ayuinata. Never give up. That's what I live by. And when things get hard and difficult, say ayuinata. That'll remind you that it can be difficult, but there's always a future ahead of you. So great job. Bravo. So when you leave here, and you'll learn some new things today about cultures of the indigenous people, so pass those on, what you have learned, to your family and friends. It's because that is part of reconciliation in action. What you do when you leave this place and talk about it in your own, the way you remember it, is really important. So I really want to thank you for being part of this day and for helping to build a better Canada for all of us. Merci de faire partie de cette journée et de contribuer et bâtir un Canada meilleur pour nous tous. So thank you very much, and you'll be seeing some performances now, and I'll be watching it with you. Thank you.
And that was the Governor General Mary Simon as she welcomes about 100 students to Rideau Hall. This is the second annual National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, which is why people are gathered at Rideau Hall today. And as we heard from the Governor General, up next are a number of performances highlighting different aspects of Indigenous culture. Stay with us here in CPAC as we bring you back to Rideau Hall.
Kwei Shaba, good morning, everyone. How are we today? Great, love to hear that. Ça va bien tout le monde? Oui, bon, c'est bon. Alors, je vais juste m'introduire dans ma langue. So I'm going to introduce myself in my language, and then I'll translate in French and in English as well. So, Kwei Kakina, Pijan Kakina, Siguan Wabagana Dishnakaz, Kirigan Zibi Donjiba, Megaze Dodem, Pijan Kakina, Anishinaabe Aki. So hello everyone, my English name is Rihanna White Duck. My real name is Siguan Wabagun, which means spring flower, and I am part of the Algonquin Anishinaabe from Kitigan Zibi. So it's very fitting that I get to be here and welcome you guys to Algonquin territory. I'm also part of the Eagle Clan, and in our culture, the Eagle Clan is the bird that flies the highest in the sky. It takes all those prayers and those intentions of the people and it brings it up to the Creator. And then in reverse, it brings that guidance and leadership back down to the people. So once again, it's very fitting that I get to be here with you guys today and share part of my culture. So, as mentioned, reconciliation, it's a big topic. It's a heavy topic sometimes. As mentioned, the Excellency mentioned, a lot of us are in the process of reclaiming our identity. Along with that is reclaiming our languages. Some of us didn't have access to our culture and to our languages, and we're now in a situation where we're starting to reclaim them. Myself, I grew up in a Catholic school. I grew up here in Ottawa. I didn't have that strong connection to my community as I would have liked. So I am now in the process of relearning my language. I've been working in my culture for the last 10 years. So if I butcher this prayer, bear with me. Miigwech kijimanitu, ongi iyo kijig. Widoko, wish in him kiji, mino danyang ash ege. Kiji mino in him dangyang. Ayag wamabam, winawa ka nondinziwach, gaye winawa ega kash kitawaj. Kiji tanzijiwaj, ondaje nungam. Alors, le petit prière que je viens juste de dire, je vais traduire en français puis après en anglais. Alors, j'ai dit, nous reconnaissons que nous sommes acquis sur le territoire de mes ancêtres, Anishinaabe Algonquin, et on demande au Grand Esprit pour cette journée. Et nous vous demandons de prendre soin de ceux qui ont besoin d'aide, ceux qui ont besoin encore plus d'aide, et ceux de soins supplémentaires de communauté et aux besoins de plus d'aide. So what I said in my prayer is I welcome everyone. Creator, thank you for this day. Thank you for all of you being here. We ask that you help guide us today to keep an open heart and an open mind. We ask that you care for those that are in need. We ask that you help those who require help and the extra care for our communities who need even more assistance here today. So the reason why we introduce ourselves in our language is to take on the strength of our ancestors. As the Excellency mentioned, this has been my people's territory since time immemorial. We've been caretakers, we've been stewards of this land. My ancestors' bodies and bones are all across the Ottawa River, all across this territory. And whenever I do speaking engagements, I draw on their strength and I ask them to come and be with me, not only to help me and to give me strength, but to also welcome you guys and to care for you guys as well. Every child matters, and it's important that we acknowledge the past so that we can move forward together. So our people were known as a very welcoming people. They were known for that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But it was customary whenever we had guests that we would sing a song. So we're really excited to share a couple songs with you guys today. The song that I'm going to sing is a water song. It is an Algonquin water song. Historically, the women didn't have instruments. We had sticks. And the state of the crisis of the water situation right now, it's important that we really take care of the water that we have. So essentially, the song that I'm going to sing is basically telling the water how much we love the water, how much we care about the water, and we're thanking the water. So I'm going to start off in the eastern door, and the reason for that being is it's the beginning, it's the entering stages of life, it's where the sun rises. So you'll see as I rotate, I'll be going into the 4 directions 4 times through. At least it's that way. Oh my God, I forgot the beginning of the song. Wabo endaya, aki miskwi nibi wabo. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Aki miskwi nibi wabo. Nibi wabo endaya. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Nibi wabo endaya. Aki miskwi nibi wabo. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Nibi wabo endaya. Aki miskwi nibi wabo. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey. Hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, ho. Miigwech, everybody. So again, with the importance of the water and the importance of what we do here, I'm going to ask my coworker to sing a water song in her. She'll introduce herself and also sing a water song from her nation as well.
Sego, sasanoeho, Achekeda ganyangahayon gets danawak sa Nazare, Rasker Rebeke Dage Nundage. Hello everyone, and good morning. My name is Maggie Downer. I'm a member of the Bear Clan, and I'm also Mohawk First Nations from Tyendinaga, and so today I have the honor of showing that diversity of our cultures with my water song that I was taught as a little girl. So thank you. Yo, oh, young Thank you.
Alors, merci tout le monde. Bienvenue. On a une journée très spéciale planée avec vous autres. À ce moment ici, on va inviter d'autres de nos amis à sortir et partager la culture avec vous autres. So we have an amazing day planned here with you guys today. We're going to invite our friends to come and share part of their culture with us. They'll introduce themselves.
Ulakut. Can you say Ulakut? That means good morning in Inuktitut. So my name is Tracy Sarzan.
Ulakut. I'm Annie Annamil, and we are traditional Inuit throat singers from Nunavut.
So we're going to move over here so you guys can see us better. So we're going to do some Inuit throat singing. Has anyone heard throat singing before? Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So throat singing is a fun game done by Inuit, many times Inuit women, and it's a fun competition. So one person starts, and then immediately after the other person follows. So we're trying to mess one another off.
So we're doing a really friendly competition. So sometimes you'll see at the end, it ends in laughter. And that's because we're trying to throw each other off. And usually there's a leader and a follower. In our case, Tracy usually leads the songs and I have to follow. So each sound she makes, I have to follow that exact sound right after. And yeah, so we'll do this first one for you right now.
Alors, c'est un jeu et une chanson à partager. Il va y avoir un débutant puis quelqu'un qui va suivre après. La plupart du temps, c'est un jeu un petit peu d'amitié entre les deux. Puis ça finit la plupart du temps le monde qui rit.
So the sounds that we were doing goes like this. Do you guys want to try? Perfect. So when we're doing it, so when I go right in the middle of my sound, she starts. So it's kind of like and it creates that really cool sound that you hear. The next one we're going to do, I'd like you to try and guess what animal it might be. Does anyone have a guess what that might be? Yeah. Not a dog. Canada goose, exactly. Good guess. So with Inuit throat singing, a lot of our songs are imitations of our environment up north. So we have geese and other birds and other animals that we imitate when we're throat singing. And then we have some really cool ones, imitations of the river, the wind, and different tools. Let's see if you can guess which tool this might be. Exactly.
You have really good guessers. So maybe I'll see, we're here with Her Excellency, Mary Simon, and she's Inuk. So we're Inuit, and does anyone know what region Mary might be from? Where our homeland for Inuit. Does anyone know where Inuit are originally from? Any guess? So in Canada, there's actually 4 regions where Inuit are from. Do you have a guess where Mary is originally from?
The very north tip of Quebec.
Yes, very good. So that region is called Nunavik. And Nunavik is one of the Inuit regions in Canada where Inuit are from. Annie and I are from Nunavut, which is Canada's newest territory. It was created in 1999 through our Inuit land claims. So we're from Nunavut, and Mary is from Nunavik. Does anyone know another region where Inuit are from in Canada? Yes? Yes, and that is in Nunatsiavut, which is in northern Labrador. And there's another region where Inuit are from in the Northwest Territories, and it's called Inuvialuit. And so those are the 4 regions in Canada where Inuit are originally from. Those are our homelands, and together it's called Inuit Nunanat. And does anyone know where else Inuit live in the world? Because we're not only an Indigenous group in Canada, but we're also an international Indigenous group. You have a guess?
America?
Yes, that's correct. In Alaska, there's Inuit. Does anyone else know where Inuit could live in the world? Yes?
Greenland?
Greenland, you're right. Very good. And the other place Inuit live is in Russia. So we have 4 regions in Canada, and then there's 4 circumpolar regions. So Canada, United States, Greenland, and Russia. So we're a pretty unique group of people, and we're circumpolar people internationally. So that's a little bit about Inuit, and we're going to do another throat song. This is the competition song.
So Tracy won that one because I ran out of breath because she's just too good. The next one we're going to do is called the lullaby, and sometimes it's called the love song. And with throat singing, we're not only using our throats to make those sounds, sometimes we're using our breath, and sometimes we're using our voice. And you'll be able to hear a little bit of all of that in this one. Thank you. The next song we're going to do was created by a young Inuk girl. And the reason why she made this song is because she had a little puppy. And as you might know, up north, traditionally our transportation was by dog team. And so dog teams were a really important part of our lives. So when this little girl had that puppy, it was the runt of the litter. It was not a very strong one, but she made this song so that he could grow up to be the leader of the dog team.
The last song we're going to sing is called The Wind.
Everyone has been so great, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Salut, bonjour. Tansi. On peut dire Tansi? Tansi, parfait. Tansi, Brad Lafortune de Chinikashun, ni Michif, Roshi Sudbury, puis ni Nimik, la Jig Michif, la danse la rivière rouge. Alors bonjour, mon nom est Brad Lafortune. Je suis métis, originaire de Sudbury, au nord de l'Ontario, et je suis un danseur métis. Alors la danse traditionnelle métis qui s'appelle la Jig. Est-ce qu'on peut dire la Jig? Excellent. Hi everyone. My name is Brad Lafortune. I am Métis, originally from Sudbury, Ontario. And I'm a traditional Métis dancer called a jigger. And so the traditional dance of the Métis is called jigging. Can everyone say jigging? Excellent. Aujourd'hui, ça me fait du plaisir de vous présenter un peu de jig métis. Alors, la culture métisse a été créée, ça fait quelques centaines d'années. Alors, dans les années 1600, 1700, la culture métisse a été créée par un mélange de la culture francophone, alors que ce soit de la France, mais aussi de la culture irlandaise, écossaise, avec un mélange de la culture des Premières Nations. So Métis culture was created in the 1700s by a mixture of European culture from France, England, Ireland, and Scotland, with First Nations mixed in. And that combination created a whole new culture. So it's like when you take two colors and you mix them together, you get a new color, right? That's what happened with Métis culture. On a mélangé la culture européenne de la France et l'Irlande et l'Écosse avec la culture des Premières Nations d'ici du Canada, et ceci a créé une nouvelle culture. Et la danse, la gigue, c'est vraiment un mélange de ces deux danses. Alors, dans la gigue, on peut voir l'influence de la danse irlandaise et écossaise, et aussi de la danse powwow des Premières Nations. Alors, c'est vraiment une fusion, un mélange de ces deux danses ensemble. Cette première danse que je vais faire s'appelle le Tano Orteil. This first song is called the Heel Toe. Et c'est souvent une chanson qu'on utilise pour commencer les festivités, les fêtes, les mariages, les rassemblements, tout ça. On commence avec cette chanson. Et comme que Rhiannon a fait au début, on commence à l'est et je finis à l'ouest. Alors, je vais bouger un petit peu en tour. Je vous encourage d'applaudir si vous voulez, de garder le rythme. La danse métisse, c'est tout à propos du mouvement. Et c'est tout du mouvement des pieds. Vous allez voir, c'est beaucoup de mouvements des pieds. On aime aller vite. On aime vraiment bouger à notre maximum. So jigging is all about foot movement. We like to go quick. We'll talk a little bit more about why that is. This first song is called the Heel Toe. We're going to start out at the east and end in the west. So here you go. Alors ça, c'était le Tano Orteil, la gigue métisse. Et alors, comme j'ai dit, la culture métisse a été créée, ça fait environ 300 ou 400 ans. Et durant ce temps-là, il y avait une industrie immense au Canada, une industrie très, très importante à la formation du Canada. Est-ce qu'on sait c'est quoi cette industrie? Oui. So, I was saying about 300 or 400 years ago when the Métis culture was created, there was really one huge industry in Canada. And a student over here said the Hudson's Bay Company. And that was one of the big companies that was part of the fur trade. Alors, la traite de fourrure, l'échange des fourrures entre les Premières Nations et les Européens, ici au Canada. Et les Métis avaient un rôle très important de ceci. The Métis played a very important role during the fur trade because they were responsible for traveling between the First Nations to pick up the fur back to the Europeans who were settled in various places in Canada to drop them off. And then the Europeans then shipped them off to Europe to sell. So the Métis were always traveling really long distances. Et comment est-ce que vous pensez que les Métis voyageaient d'un côté du pays jusqu'à l'autre? Comment est-ce que les Métis voyageaient? Exactement. So the Métis would travel by canoes. Des gros canaux que les Métis utilisaient pour voyager d'un côté du pays jusqu'à l'autre. Et ceci a vraiment, vraiment formé la culture métisse. This really shaped the Métis culture. And it's one of the reasons why jigging, our dance, is so important to our culture. Jigging was a way to stay warm in the winters and in the springs and in the falls. Like now, when it gets pretty cold at night after the sun sets, jigging was a way to stay warm. So that's why we like to move really quickly. It was also just a way to have some fun during these long trips. My ancestors used to travel from Ripon, not too far from here in Ottawa, all the way to the Rocky Mountain Passage in BC. And so that would take 9 months of the year that they'd be traveling, a group of men by canoe. So during this time, the Métis didn't have a lot. They would travel constantly. Et quand on voyage beaucoup, on essaye d'apporter le moins d'objets possible. Et ceci était la même chose pour les Métis. Alors, quand on danse, on aime utiliser les objets qu'on a déjà à notre disposition. When the Métis danced, they liked to use things that they already had with them. So one thing that we often traveled with were sashes. Les ceintures fléchées, ce que je porte, on voyageait souvent avec les ceintures fléchées. Alors, on les utilise aussi pour notre danse. Et aussi un ballet, vous allez voir dans cette prochaine chanson, que des fois, les Métis, ça se connaît comme les danseurs du ballet. Broom dancers, or the broom dance, is sometimes what jigging is known as, because the Métis would often dance with brooms, since they didn't have their partners to dance with them there. Alors, cette prochaine chanson s'appelle la Gigue de la Rivière Rouge. This next song is called the Red River Jig. It's from Manitoba. And in this song, we do a variety of what we call fancy steps. And these fancy steps come from different parts of the country. And they're influenced by First Nations powwow steps from their dances. So here is the Red River Jig. Ouais. Alors, la gigue métisse, c'est aussi un bon workout. Jigging is also a really good workout. A lot of hopping. Yeah, sure, that sounds great. OK. J'ai une dernière chanson pour vous. Et cette dernière chanson, on l'utilise un peu comme une compétition. Alors, this last song is called the Orange Blossom Special, and we almost use it like a competition. But it's not only a competition between dancers, it's also a competition between, usually, the musicians and the dancers. Now, since I'm playing with the track, I will lose. There's no beating a track. Alors, cette chanson, Orange Blossom Special, que ça s'appelle, c'est une compétition parce qu'on aime voir comment vite qu'on peut aller. Et on démontre aussi notre, non seulement notre vitesse, mais aussi notre agilité, notre coordination, notre ballon. Alors, souvent, c'est une compétition entre les danseurs pour voir qui peut aller plus vite, mais aussi entre les musiciens et les danseurs pour voir qui va faire une gaffe en premier. Est-ce que ça va être les musiciens qui vont faire une erreur ou est-ce que ça va être les danseurs, moi, qui va faire une erreur ou dire comme « OK, j'en peux plus ». Alors, cette dernière chanson s'appelle « Orange Blossom Special ». Et aussi, dans cette chanson a été influencée par la chanson ou le son d'un train. Alors, écoutez pour voir si vous pouvez entendre un train. This last song was influenced by the sound of a train. So listen and see if you can hear that influence of the train in it. So here's the last song, Orange Blossom Special. Non? Oh, OK, on est bon. Je voulais juste dire merci, Tansi, Miigwech, et merci. Thank you all so much for watching, participating, for taking honor in this very special day, and for inviting me. So thank you all very much. Thank you.
Let's give a big round of applause to Tracy Saracen, Annie Anungmuk, and Brad Lafortune. Thank you for opening our eyes to Inuit and Métis culture. Nous souhaitons prendre cette opportunité pour prendre une photo de groupe. We will take this opportunity to take a group photo. Please stay seated. Our colleague Janine will provide more instructions.
Great, thank you, ladies. OK, alors on va faire ça. On va étirer un petit peu les jambes. So we're going to stretch a bit our legs, but we're going to do it fast. So that way we can take a break after. How about that, guys? OK, alors moi je vais passer puis je vais mettre ma main sur